All right, so I spend a lot of time on YouTube, or at the very least, listening to YouTube while I'm doing other things. So things like film critiques and movie reviews are really important to me. And I used to also be into music reviews, but haven't been able to find too much out there that I like. One music review channel that you've probably heard of, it's definitely one of the most popular, is The Needle Drop. Anthony Fantano, the internet's busiest music nerd. He's an extremely successful music reviewer, and I thought it would be kind of fun to talk about why I don't like his content anymore. But I gotta stress right away, this is nothing personal against Anthony. This is totally a parasocial relationship. Like, I've never met the guy. I really don't know anything about him except for the content that he's put out, and you'll hopefully understand in just a minute why even that I don't consider very personal. What I first really loved about Anthony's work is his vocabulary. I think that he's a great way with words, and he does a very good job about breaking down music on a technical level. He has kind of a cold, analytical way of listening to music. And if you're like that, you'll probably really like his channel. But for me, it's really about that personal experience. What did this album, make you feel? What did you imagine while you were listening to it? What were the emotions going through as you listened? On one hand, you could think, well, why does it really matter that much anyways? What other people go through or think of art? Shouldn't you just absorb whatever? Well, everything right now is all algorithms. There's so much stuff out there. I think that curators play a more important role now than ever, because if you don't take an active stance in finding art to better your life, if you don't actively partake in the curation and think about what it is you're looking for, really, you're just going to keep getting fed the same things, and that's going to shape you in different ways. I think it's important for everyone to think about what they want from art, what they want from these things that they consume, and curation plays a big part in that, and that's why this is important to me. That's why I think it's worth talking about how I would find utility in some reviewers versus others. So, in general, though, one thing Anthony's got down really well is consistency. And I would say being consistent is the most important thing you can do as a reviewer, because as people get to know your work over time, they can then interpret your reviews and reflect it upon their own taste. Like, for example, Roger Ebert. I had very different taste than the late Roger Ebert, and so there was a lot of utility there. I would look at his reviews, and if he hated something, I would pay attention to it, because it means it's not for Roger, but it might be for me. But with Anthony, I couldn't really quite do that in the whole level. I did, though, understand that on a technical point, since that's kind of mostly what Anthony's focused on. Even that, I have very different taste than him. So, like, for example, Anthony did a Q&A where someone asked him, what headphones do you use? What do you listen to music on? He recommended a pair, and I actually bought a pair of headphones based on his recommendation, the AKG K240s, these stereo monitors here. I trusted him at the time. I went out and I bought them to my ear, to my taste. I think these sound terrible. Point is, I know that even on a technical level, I would disagree with him on most stuff, which is cool. Like, there's utility in understanding that, but without getting personal, you're still missing so much. And the reason why I keep harping on Anthony not being personal, here's a good example. There was a rapper went by the name Milo, and he had this album called Toothpaste Suburbs. And there's a line in the album where he literally references Anthony's channel. There's a line where he goes, download the entire Needle Drop archive to your hard drive. And like, Anthony's being called out specifically. The art is trying to have a direct communication with him, and his review is so cold and analytical and impersonal that he completely ignores it. He doesn't even reference it, which is so bizarre to me. Like, how do you not engage with this? On one hand, though, I really can't necessarily blame him when I think about how much pressure that must be, having so many fans online. You probably don't want to get too personal, because it's a dangerous, wacky internet out there. The guy's very popular. A lot of people see his stuff. If you look at Anthony's other channel, he has like this meme review channel that is very satirical, and he's always playing a character of himself. I would kind of say his sense of humor is a lot like South Park, just meaning the stance is very vague. Everything sucks. Everyone's stupid. He doesn't actually stand for anything, doesn't actually believe in anything. He just kind of shits on everything. That's the whole point of the meme review channel. And if you like that sense of humor, that's cool. I bring that up though just because I think it speaks to this sort of defense mechanism that he got. I mean, I listened to an album that he put out, this Cal Chester thing that was very satirical and ridiculous. And after listening to a ton of his reviews, listening to his album, I still really didn't feel like I knew the guy at all. And so if I don't know you, how am I supposed to interpret your opinion of something? A good example of a review that I really loved actually came from Anthony Fantano's buddy Frank Javc. He did a review of the album Mega by the artist Blank Banshee, and all he did was he went through each track. He talked about how the track made him feel, and he talked about what he imagined in his mind when he was listening to the album. That gave me the insight that I needed to determine whether or not that album was something I wanted to invest my time and money into. And I did. I really dived into that album after I bought it, and I'm glad I did. I had a fantastic experience with it, and I'm thankful to Frank Javc for such a insightful personal review. Those are the types of things that I'm looking for. But maybe you're not. I just think that it's important for everyone to think about what it is that they're looking for, because what you absorb is important. It's gonna inspire you. It's gonna affect your mood. It's gonna, affect your day-to-day. So I think it's worth taking it a little bit seriously, and I hope that was helpful. If you're anyone who likes to critique stuff, depending on what you're going for, that's what I'd love to see. All right, thanks.